I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about it, but we got to talk about it because this is being hijacked by both sides. And the extreme measures that people are talking about this issue and the way they're talking about this issue is wild. So if you guys haven't heard, there's a tragedy that happened in Frisco, Texas. One young man took the life of another young man over, many are saying, is an altercation, claims of self-defense. And the way that the narrative is being ran, I would say, isn't just polar opposite. I would say some of it is really dangerous. And we're going to come back to like some of the statements being made, I would say, in some of the conservative circles. But I thought we'd get a quick breakdown from Nate the lawyer, who's actually a black conservative lawyer.
Okay.
Because I have some issues with how some people on the right and on the conservative side are framing this. And just kind of debunking some of the nonsense. So shout out to Nate the lawyer for compiling this, kind of highlighting the different...
Accused of another student athlete at a track meet told officers as he was being taken into custody that he did it in self-defense.
Austin Metcalf was killed this week at that Frisco track meet. New documents detail what happened before and after 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony allegedly pulled a knife from his backpack and stabbed him.
So right off that, you guys kind of see what the issue is? How this is getting hijacked?
Yeah. This is getting hijacked on the right. With the way this is being framed regarding black teen, white teen.
Yep.
And Matt Walsh has made some statements. We're going to come back to those a little later, but let's just go over how this is being portrayed, and then we'll talk about the issues here. Go ahead.
Happened at the district championship meet in Frisco. Hunter says his brother had asked Carmelo to move his seat because he was sitting under the wrong tent. A witness says Carmelo replied, "Touch me and see what happens." And when Austin, Carmelo allegedly pulled a knife.
They ask him to move.
And this is his father. So let me just say, the way the parents of this gentleman, this poor kid that passed, the way they're responding to this, it sounds like they're Christians, because they're responding this with so much grace and mercy in the situation, and they're getting dragged for this. By the way, like on X and the conservative side,
the conservatives, because like, you're just scared to be
the elephant in the room.
Woke.
We all see the elephant in the room, and it's
Lord.
like. They're in Texas, dog. They're in a conservative part of Texas. Like Frisco is one of the safest parts of Texas, of the DFW area. So it's sad how the parents are being treated on this just because they're trying to be merciful in this situation. Go ahead.
And when Austin grabbed his backpack to move, take it, he stabbed him in the chest and killed him.
Go ahead.
What does he do? He goes and touches the kid again. And sure enough, this is the ultimate.
So this is the amazing Lucas. He used to be a black conservative commentator. He's kind of went all the way to the left on some of this stuff. Yeah.
This guy, I remember when he was super conservative. He's super.
I don't know if he's
now?
super, but he's pretty left. Same kind of trajectory. Like discovers like reparations and that sort of stuff.
Is that why he has an upside down American flag now?
I don't know. I don't know about the upside down American flag. But for the record, I've engaged with Lucas. He still seems reasonable in terms of our private interactions, and I'd love to have a conversation with him someday. So this is not to demonize Lucas.
I think that's super interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it happens
from one dogma to
It happens
another.
all the time.
Yeah, totally.
The people that go to the extremes usually were on the extreme of the other thing.
Yeah.
You know that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure you know that.
It's like watching the Hodge twins turn.
That sort of stuff has
left.
happened. What do you think? Who's the guy? Dave Rubin. He used to be a host on the Young Turks.
Dave Rubin.
Yes, bro.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me. He's like the only
Dave
gay
Rubin used to be
Republican ever.
all the way on the left, and now he's all the way on the right.
Wow.
Yeah, it's fairly common. Neither here nor there.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
It's the F-A-F-O. F around and found out. And he found out. And now he's no longer with us. And for some reason, I'm supposed to feel bad about this.
Ooh.
Now, here's the thing. Something similar like this happened.
Yeah.
What some would say, I'm not saying this is all accurate. I don't remember all the particulars, but some would say that the disproportionate response of force was what happened in the George Zimmerman, Trayvon Martin situation.
Okay.
Right? Dude isn't on the Neighborhood Watch Society. He sees a black kid in his neighborhood he doesn't recognize. Police tell him to stand down. He pursues. A scuffle ensues, and he
Wow.
Right? He got off.
That's crazy.
He got off. So he says that if the races were reversed, I wouldn't have an issue with this. That kind of helps spark the Black Lives Matter movement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's a bit unfair. Like if the roles were reversed, I don't think you'd be like, yeah, the black kid effed around and found out, and he got there would be marches.
He said, yeah, 100. It would be way worse.
Yes.
Wait, it would be way worse.
Yeah.
And just so we're clear, if the races were reversed, I'd say the same thing. But at the same time, I don't know a lot of black kids that if someone else were to reach into their bag and say, hey, you come at me again and you see what happens, I don't know a lot of black kids who would go, okay.
Yeah, but that was kind of, what happened with the Trayvon Martin situation.
Yeah.
I don't remember all the particulars, but George Zimmerman pursued him, scuffle broke out, a physical fight broke out, and then somebody thought George Zimmerman thought his life was in danger, and then he used a firearm in Florida. They got Sandra Grant. That's how he got off in that situation. I'm not saying that that's justified. Yeah. I'm saying that these situations are messy. To say that if it was the other way around, I think that's cap. Go ahead.
We have a guy who pulled out a knife prior to any physical altercation. First of all, he already committed a crime, let's be clear about that, by bringing the knife to this school event in the first place.
That's true.
But he pulls it out after being told he's not allowed to sit in the tent that doesn't correspond to his school.
Yeah, it's aggravated assault.
Yeah,
if you do not attack somebody, but you threaten with a deadly weapon.
Yep.
Because he found that to be disrespectful. That's me speculating on motive right there. Let's be clear about that. Then he tries to bait Austin Metcalf into a physical altercation, which he immediately escalates to a deadly force altercation. And now he's trying to claim, and his father's trying to claim, and a bunch of different various activists are trying to claim that he was not the aggressor. He's just an innocent Baba Angel Aladdin who was defending himself. And you can't really expect him as a young black man, age 17, to understand that you're not allowed to stab somebody over a dispute on.
Now, if the other guy started the altercation, that is how they're going to argue this in court.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what's his name? Dr. Grande did a video on this. I don't know if Bruce Rivers has done a video on this, but this doesn't look like they're going to get a self-defense
Definitely not
thing in this,
No.
right? I don't think that's going to go that direction.
No, yeah. Like if this was take out the race equation, play a firearm self-defense case. From everything they teach you with firearm self-defense, this is the complete opposite of how you would hope for a self-defense case to go down, and you would be completely
Yeah, so he's going to go away for this.
Yeah.
He's going to go away for this. That's not my issue with what's happening on the right. I saw Matt Walsh tweet this. You watched his show.
Yeah.
And the response by some conservatives, not all. Okay, and by the way, I would love to hear from black conservatives on this. Specifically, like I haven't seen Delano Square's comments on this. I like that Nate the lawyer did a video. He just kind of did a legal breakdown of like, hey, this wasn't proportional force. That's the issue here. It's not a proportional force, so therefore it's not self-defense. Likely going to get convicted. So
you want to be angsty teen, just get in a fist fight.
Right. And so regardless on who initiated physical contact, that doesn't mean that this was proportionate, and it's tragic that this young man lost his life. Now, here is my broader issue with this, is when you hear Matt Walsh, you jump into this hyper generalization, this undertone that like black men tend to be more violent.
Yeah. Okay.
Because of the disproportional number of violent crimes and committed by black men specifically. 6% of the population or something like that account for over 50% of the murders. Right. Now, there's some flaw issues with that logic, right? And then you get into the number of white people, black people, and black people by a lot, which is, by the way, all of that is extremely rare in situations. But when you look at some math, it looks like it's disproportionate. What was some of the things that Matt Walsh said on your stream that was that you watched that was concerning for you?
Okay, well, the first thing was he was covering the topic and then covering kind of the left's view of it. And then he started to go down the rabbit trail of the black man violent, right? And sometimes he'll do these things where he starts with this real crazy extreme and then doesn't reel it in, but provides a solution. I think the first video he didn't even provide like he didn't do the typical, it's the music and it's the lack of fathers. Like, so he kind of just said black men violent and then didn't do anything. And I was like, wow, that's just straight.
Yeah.
That's straight Nick Fuentes fodder.
Yes. And that's all over my timeline because I responded to him. And I'll tell you what I responded to him in a second.
That makes it sound like black man violent. Like when you don't even put in variables, that makes it sound like it's like like this dog breed is safer than this breed, and this breed is inherently going to bite another dog.
And that's the
like,
issue.
It's like that's not how it works. If you raise a pit bull in a family-friendly home, they're still gonna want to bite another dog at some point or show some sort of aggression. They're bred for that. It's not how it is for humans. Humans, if they're raised in great homes and it's whatever, and there's no outside influence, they'll just be good humans.
Yes, and that's the issue that I have on what's being talked about on the right. Is that there's a hyper generalization right now of black men more violent.
Yes,
and the issue with that is a couple. One, anyone that's ever grown up in the hood, in a poor area, in a project, whatever you want to call it, you will quickly discover that it's actually a very small percentage of the black men in those areas that commit the majority of the crimes.
Yeah.
So we're talking about poor people in the hood aren't even doing all the crimes. Not everyone who's a young black man growing up in the hood is committing crimes. One, it's a small percentage doing a large percentage of the crimes.
Yeah.
And it's usually crimes against people they live in proximity with and against their own race.
Hello.
Right? That's why black on black violence is an issue, so on and so forth. So the issue with Matt Walsh is he's not understanding how less than 1% of black men are doing these crimes.
Yes.
Right? The second thing is this idea of disproportionate, right? A disproportionate number of black men commit these crimes. Here's the flip side to this. And I've done and chipped away at the research. If we were to point out anecdotal and data driven disproportionate crimes that white men commit, okay? We couldn't do school shootings because the way school shootings are classified is the same as mass shootings where 3 or more people are killed. And so like every skirmish or every mutual combat in the hood then gets categorized within mass shooting. That's why that number is so exaggerated. Yeah. But if we look at just typical school shootings, we know disproportionate number of people are white.
Yes.
Okay. If we look at serial killers.
And trans.
If we look at serial killers, disproportionate number of serial killers are white. Disproportionate to the population per capita. Okay, for serial killers. Here's another one.
I don't like what you're doing to my people.
The DUI arrest rate. Okay, the DUI arrest rate. Can you guess who is more likely to be arrested of a DUI?
I can't guess because I can't profile.
Okay, 81% of DUI arrests are white men.
I just want a good drink on the way home.
81%. Okay.
Take the edge off of work.
Let's look at bestiality. 80 plus cases of bestiality are committed by white men. We can look anecdotally, right?
It's their culture. It's their culture.
So, and I'm making a point here. Listen to me. I'm not. Listen to where I'm going here. So Matt Walsh goes, if you hear about 2 men getting into an argument at a grocery store and one kills the other, what's it going to be? Who are you going to think the race is? And it's like, well, there got to be other variables. If I say 2 guys in a grocery store get into an argument, one is in a biker gang, and one is wearing a suit.
Yeah.
You're going to think the white guy in the biker gang hurt the guy in the suit.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely.
So there's other variables involved. Here's another one. Animal cruelty. 80% white offenders. Okay? Animal cruelty, DUI. What's the most obvious one? You pulled up some links of this, which we could laugh about if you want. But what's the one that if I were to tell you guys there was a situation of a incident on the road with road rage, who are you thinking about first? You got some of these pulled up?
Yeah, I do.
Real quick. Who are you thinking about first?
Well, we got some. Oh, this is a great one.
Car slam on her brakes, get out, and start yelling on Hathaway in East Toledo.
Get out! Get out!
It's good. It's a go.
Eventually turns away. That's when she hits.
There was
him.
the other one that
He
you had that
turns
was way
around,
better than this.
Hits her back
This is great, though.
and slams her onto
Body
the
slam.
ground.
Bang! So this dude loses it because it's a parade and it's barricaded.
Exit! The convention center exit! Every motherfucking exit!
Okay. So what I'm saying is, there's multiple crimes I could point to that are disproportionately white men. I'm not going to say that this is an issue with white culture. If we look at the people who consumed Howard Stern in the late 90s and the early 2000s, where there was him talking about finding 13-year-olds hot, when there was all kinds of weird stuff that Howard Stern was saying, and the vast majority of that audience was white men. A disproportionate number of that audience and entertaining that sort of stuff was white men. Just straight weirdo behavior. I'm not going to say that is then indicative of all white men or most white men. Why? Because there's a small number of white men that commit a large number of the beast cases, the road rage cases, the school cases as an actual school shooting, not in a 3 or 4 people, but when there's the viral stories. We would not say that white men are therefore more likely to be, white men are intrinsically more violent, white men are intrinsically more aggressive. And we could point to multiple things. The issue is when you do this sort of stuff and you say, hey, 50% of murder convictions, mind you, that's people that get convicted, are committed by 6% of the population. You're missing the reality of the data that's still committed by less than 1% of black males. Because how crime works is a very small percentage commit a very large percentage of the crimes. Now, does that mean that there can't be conversations about why these sorts of things happen in areas that are predominantly black and brown? No, those conversations can and should happen, and there should be ways to figure it out. That's going to usually go back to the fathers not being in the homes. That's where me and Matt Walsh would agree. That's where me and most conservatives agree. The issue is when you get into hyper generalizing, all black men is more violent. Hyper generalizing, all white men as more violent, more likely to be serial killers, more likely to be squatters, more likely to commit bestiality, more likely to fill in the blank. You're taking a small fringe of a fringe pocket of a population, and then you're generalizing it and making sweeping statements that are then going to impact how people are going to perceive other people. And here's the deal. You have to consider multiple variables. So again, you're walking in a dark alley in New York City. You want to take a shortcut. You look down that dark alley. If you see a guy in a Hell's Angel vest, probably white, you're probably not going to go down that dark alley. Go down that dark alley, you see a guy who is a black dude who is wearing, a specific style of clothes with face tattoos, you're probably not going to go down that alley. You see a Mexican guy with face tattoos, you're probably not going to go down that alley. There's other variables involved. You go down that alley, you see a white dude in a suit, you see a black dude in a suit, you see a Mexican dude in a suit, no face tattoos. You're probably going to feel more comfortable going down that alley. Now, I would say probably don't go down the alley in general. But this is the issue with regards to this is we're generalizing people based by a small fringe, and this is not helpful, especially as Christians, because believe it or not, black men, white men, Mexican men are all image bearers. They're all image bearers of God. And there's different issues within every culture and every community. There's different issues within socioeconomic statuses. There's different issues about who has fathers at home and who doesn't have fathers at home. All of these different things factor into why people end up doing unspeakable things. The people that were consuming the utter debauchery of Howard Stern in the late 90s and early 2000s probably didn't have fathers that showed them how to be real men, right? Or a very distant relationship. And a lot of this is going to come back to that. Yes, and I understand that that's a myth. Black fathers are more involved than white parents. They just get married. Yeah, so the issue with that is in the home. It's okay to say, hey, for whatever reason, there are more kids born outside of wedlock within a black community. We should be able to say that is a statement of truth. And that's going to be the biggest impact on a young man is his father in the home, irrelevant of their race. Is the father in the home. Hey, thank you so much for checking out the video. Please be sure to comment below and subscribe and all that good stuff. And check out this other video that YouTube seems to be recommending just for you. Let me know if they nailed it. All right, I'll see you over there. Peace.